What's up, guys? Welcome to Far From Blake, and today we are talking about the Marvels. Let's go! Alright, so I just saw the Marvels, the newest addition to the MCU, and I just gotta say, the MCU is back, baby! Alright, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so if you think that this movie is supposed to revitalize the MCU, if you think it's going to fix all the problems from Phase 4 and we're going to move on to a better trajectory, then this is not the right movie for you. Granted, I don't think that's what anyone is going into this movie to see. I think a lot of people already had their doubts and their reservations for this movie. That's why we've seen all over Twitter that the box office predictions are very, very low going into this movie. The hype is not real, not just for this movie, but in MCU in general. So, with that said, I think we already know that this movie's not going to do anything spectacular. I will say right off the bat, this movie was very, very fun. It was a fun time at the movie theater. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it a positive rating overall. But there is flaws, as you probably will see when you go to see this movie. And I'm sure you're going to see more negative than positive for most people on the internet. Shocker. That's kind of what the internet is. That's kind of what Twitter, YouTube, all the social medias will have when it comes to anything regarding the MCU nowadays. I should preface by saying I am going to make this movie review as non-spoiler-ish as possible for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. The movie just came out. I don't want to spoil anything to anybody. So I'm going to try my best to do that. If you think I ended up spoiling something for you, I'm giving you a warning right now to basically say, go watch the movie, subscribe, and then come back and then watch this review. Okay? You've been warned. One of the main positives of this movie was Iman Vellani, who plays Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. She was fantastic in the movie. I thought she was incredibly funny. Her character of Miss Marvel is just adorable. The way she looks up to Captain Marvel. And really just, it's that greater than life type of situation where you're looking at your hero. Like, imagine, I think the reason why it might come off weird to a lot of people is because I feel like Captain Marvel as a hero hasn't been fleshed out enough to where we gave a crap about her. But imagine if we had someone who was like, oh my gosh, I'm little Spider-Man, you know what I mean? And you're looking up to them. It's kind of like the same thing, but I liked it regardless. This is a movie that I would say one of the biggest flaws of the movie is that it requires a lot of homework. You need to know the Miss Marvel show. You kind of need to know WandaVision. Secret Invasion a little bit, but not really. They kind of scrapped some of the things they did there. And obviously you need the first Captain Marvel movie. But I would say the show that you need to watch the most in order to maybe appreciate this film a little bit more is watch Miss Marvel, because this movie drops you straight in the middle of the Miss Marvel world and the Miss Marvel universe and the Miss Marvel character. So I said Miss Marvel so many times in there, it's giving me tongue twisters. But anyway, that if you don't see that show, it kind of
just like, this movie assumes you know the character.
And if you know the character, I think this will be enjoyable. Now, if I'd never seen the show before, would I have found this character funny and charming and interesting and adorable? Maybe not. It might have came off really annoying and weird, like, who is this character and why is she so over the top? They fleshed that out in the TV show. It makes sense to me why she acts the way she does in this. But I know a lot of people might have skipped over Miss Marvel because a lot of people are just picking and choosing which MCU projects to watch anymore because they don't trust it anymore and they don't feel like keeping up with all these different series. Which I understand. But I had tame expectations going into this movie. I wasn't expecting it to blow my socks off. It's not characters that I particularly care about that much. I'm like, okay, cool. Another Marvel movie's in theaters. I'm gonna go watch it, and hopefully I get some sort of entertainment value out of it. And I did. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It made me laugh in a lot of scenes, and had some surprising, really good action sequences in the beginning and middle portion of the movie that made you really go, "Wow, this is actually kind of cool." It had like a big grin on my face. And the beginning of this movie, I thought that I was really gonna rate it high, and then problems just started to jump out at you a little bit too much. The biggest flaws for me overall is that the villain was so bad. The villain was absolutely horrible. It might have been the worst villain. It's easily in the conversation for one of the worst villains in the entire MCU. And the MCU is already known to not really have the most creative and ambitious villains outside of Loki and Thanos, right? And then everyone has a couple others that they like, so on and so forth. But this is at the bottom rung. I don't know what it was. I knew just from the opening scene with this character, I did not like them at all. But yeah, the villain was just laughably bad. So bad that I had no clue what the name of the villain even was, just had to look it up now. Apparently, their name is Dar-Benn, whatever. She's a part of the Kree, and her motivations are clearly out of vengeance, which is fine. It's going after Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel. Or Carol Danvers, Brie Larson's the actor. This movie it's missing so many pieces. It shows you glimpses of flashbacks apparently to something that Captain Marvel did that was extravagant. And we're missing holes for that because it feels like, and I've seen the YouTuber Sean Chandler say this, that it feels like this is like the third movie in Captain Marvel's storyline. It feels like this is the third movie, that there's a second movie out there with Captain Marvel having her character fleshed out more and doing more things. And this is like the aftermath of that. But it's kind of like just sprinkled in a backstory with a villain whose whole motivation is based off that. But we don't really dive into that. The thing is, you would think that Captain Marvel would be a little bit more of a star and a leader in this movie, considering it's technically her sequel, even though it is called The Marvels, and they did make it a team-up movie. It was very unified. And without trying to spoil anything too much, is that they are unified throughout this entire movie. I don't know if it was really the motivation or the acting of the character of the villain, but it just did not work for me. It just felt like she was acting too much. And that's something I usually don't notice, but it seems like MCU is becoming so formulaic in a lot of areas that certain things just jump out at you. People will probably complain about the CGI. I would say it was good in some portions, and then there were certain portions I would say towards the end of the movie that really jump at you, that you're like, I know I'm watching something on a green screen. And it kind of takes you out of the movie a little bit, but you kind of just go, it is what it is, and you move on. So yeah, I think that Miss Marvel was the big standout of this movie overall. I think she was the glue. I think if you don't have her, the movie's way less funny, and it's way more bland. And I think this movie needed that charm, that humanity, that kind of draws everything together, because without that, this movie would be even more of a mess than it already is. Nick Fury was okay overall, even though I would say he doesn't really feel like Nick Fury that we know and love, the Nick Fury that we knew and love from the entire MCU, and previously, Secret Invasion, he went through a very dark and serious thing, and then here he's kind of just a comedic relief the entire time. He has some good one-liners, he's still enjoyable, you love seeing Samuel L. Jackson on the screen, but I wouldn't say it's very cohesive, which is another thing that the MCU is forgetting to know how to do. I'm going to talk mid-credit and post-credits and all that type of stuff. There is a mid-credit scene at the end of the movie, you're going to want to stick around for that. I would say there's certain parts or elements of it, to me, that were kind of spoiled, that I kind of knew what were happening. It didn't play out the way I thought it was, but it was kind of spoiled, so I wasn't really wowed. There's another scene that isn't a mid-credit. It's a part of the movie. It's not a post-credit. they kind of tack it on at the end of the movie, but it feels like one of those type of situations, and it's kind of a callback to another MCU film. That's all I will say. When you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. I thought that was really cool, actually, and what they're teasing at and what they're looking like they're pushing towards. I enjoyed that, and I'm curious to see where they go with that. But, we'll see with the MCU at this point. I would say the biggest lesson I learned throughout this movie is that, the MCU is doing too much right now when it comes to the series and all stuff like that. They need to stop making so many mini TV shows and series. I know they just dropped the trailer for Echo. I know we got Daredevil Born Again to come out. That's one people are mostly looking forward to. But we need to stop making all these little series projects and just focus on the movies. That's where they shine, and that's why the MCU got as big as it was in the first place. So we can't keep making these series because we shouldn't have to go into a Captain Marvel sequel and have to have watched 5, 6, 7, 15 episodes of a TV show plus a movie in order just to watch the second movie in a franchise, technically. But regardless, I had entertainment value out of it. I'm giving the score a 3 out of 5. That is, for me, basically like a B- rating. I don't really feel like getting into all of that, but it's a solid movie. I'm giving it a positive rating. It's not higher. It's not a 3.5, 4.0, whatever. There's points in the movie, I will say, like certain action sequences that I was like, oh, this could be a 4-star movie. And then the villain just bogs you down over and over and over. And it just felt like a tacked on afterthought type thing. And I would say the heartbeat and the best parts of this movie was just having our 3 Marvels, Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica, who they joke at throughout the entire movie doesn't have a superhero name. And that was the best elements, is just watching these 3 girls team up. In the trailers, they talk about them being entangled and them switching places. That's the best parts and elements of this movie. The funnest and best elements of this movie, which is teased at in the trailers, is that all 3 of our Marvels are entangled. And that means that when one person uses their powers, they jump one place, and when the other one uses it, they jump the other place. And that's shown in the trailers, so that shouldn't be a spoiler if you watch the trailers. And that's plays into the whole entire movie, and it's a huge element of it, and that's the most fun and, to me, intriguing part of it. They have to learn how to use their powers together. They have to learn how to make it work. Otherwise, they're just going to keep teleporting all over the place. And it created some really, really cool action pieces to where one person could be in one universe and they're fighting someone, and another person could be in another universe fighting someone, and they have to keep flipping sides. They have to learn to be together. Even when they are together, they could be fighting a bunch of different people in the same room, and they could be punching someone and they could teleport, and the other person could be punching that same person in the exact same room, and it could just it's an entanglement. It's all over the place, and that was the funnest part of the movie. There was a certain action set piece that went on for a little while, and it was really cool and really intriguing. It made me go, oh wow, this movie's actually pretty fun and pretty interesting. But the movie takes a nosedive, and it doesn't hold up throughout the entire runtime. But overall, if you like Marvel, if you like the MCU, I'm sure you're probably still going to see it anyway. I would say tame your expectations. Just go into it saying, okay, can I be entertained by this? You know what I mean? Will I get some laughs? Will I enjoy some action set pieces? You know what I mean? It's a movie. At the end of the day, I think a lot of us, including me, we take movies too serious, and sometimes it's just okay just to watch it and just have fun with it. But with that said, Marvel, let's knock this type of stuff off. The next movie is Deadpool 3, which I was just found out that is being pushed back. Good. Let's focus on that. Let's make Deadpool 3 a masterpiece, and let's start putting out good content moving forward. Let's not just throw out any random character and any random series. Let's focus on making the MCU a solid product. Alright, so that's all I'm going to say on this film. This movie doesn't really need to have a longer review on this. Leave a comment down below what you thought of this movie. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you hate it? Is it another thing that's making you say, I'm done with the MCU? Are you even gonna see this movie, for some people that might watch this and not see the movie, I would encourage you, if you want to, see what's going on with the MCU a little bit, still go see it. It's still enjoyable enough. It's not breaking the mold. It's not doing anything special, but it was a decent time at the movies. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out. Subscribe!